Good afternoon, church. It is Friday, June 26th, and it's a pretty quiet day here at Waterway. Hey, wanted to check in with you and figured I'd do that over video instead of writing you a long email that I have to write and then you have to read. But as you know, there's a lot going on in our world right now, and we're working really hard as pastors and elders and our leadership team to figure out how best to be open and to be worshiping here at the church with the church building. And so just wanted to talk with you about that and check in with you here today. First of all, though, just want to say thanks for your prayers. It's been a difficult time. I think you've heard me talk about that before. Maybe you've heard the elders or leadership team talk about that, but these are difficult times to figure out exactly what to do, exactly how to do it. We've heard from a lot of voices inside our church, a lot of voices outside of our church, including other Christian brothers and sisters, including the Pennsylvania governor, the Pennsylvania Department of Health, the CDC, lots of voices all over the place giving advice on what to do and what not to do. And so thanks for your prayers as we've tried to figure out how to do that together here at Waterway. So figured I'd share with you a little bit about the plans for the next couple of weeks. As you know, today, Friday, June 26th, Lancaster and Chester counties, and in fact all of Pennsylvania except for Lebanon, are now in the green phase. And I guess a couple of weeks ago, many of us were expecting or thinking that the green phase was kind of the final phase, that would open things up in Pennsylvania all the way. And as you know, that's not the case. There's still a lot of restrictions out there, a lot of restrictions for masks, social distancing, which businesses can be open by appointment, which ones are all the way open. Of course, those rules don't all apply to churches, but they factor into our thinking and to the world around us. And so here's what's going on. We are expecting this weekend, June 27th and June 28th, will be our last weekend of requiring face masks for indoor services. So this weekend will be a lot like the last couple, and I know some of you like the policy that we've got right now, the COVID action plan that we've been following. You've been vocal about that. We hear you. I know some of you have been frustrated by that plan and the limitations there, and we hear you too. We've been hearing from a lot of you, and I'm glad for that. I'm thankful for the input and the resources that you've shared. But as we manage all this, the plan for the next couple of weeks is that this week will be kind of the way it's been here throughout June. Next week, the first weekend in July, Saturday, of course, is July 4th. We will not have a worship service on Saturday, July 4th. But we will have a worship service July 5th, and we're going to do it outside. We'll be here in the churchyard on the west side of the building. We're going to try to meet at 9:30 on Sunday morning. We'll send more emails out next week. But we'll meet at 9:30 on Sunday morning, gather there in the shade for about a 1-hour worship service. It'll be pretty simple and pretty basic, but should be a good time for us to get together, be out in the fresh air. Those of you who have tailgates, there'll be an opportunity for you to park your vehicles there in the parking lot on the west side of the building, maybe listen from the back of your vehicles if you'd like. Of course, it's not a tailgating service. We're not going to have food and all that stuff, but should be a nice day to be outside, and we'll just see how weather and all that stands up the next week or so. And then 2 weeks from now, on June, what would that be? June 11th and 12th. We'll go back to having a Saturday night service and a Sunday morning service here at Waterway. But instead of requiring the face masks and some of the other things that we've done, we're just going to be recommending that. And we're going to leave it up to each family and each individual to figure out exactly the best way to worship and what that looks like. So that's what we're doing the next couple of weeks. This Sunday on June 28th, we will have a prayer service again in the yard at 9:30 before our worship service, so all of you are invited to that. But as I said, thanks so much for your prayers. I can feel them. We can feel them as we all work together and think about this. Thank you for just being in this together, and thank you for being the church. One final word just about some of the voices that we've been hearing outside. As you know, the governor's declarations and the Pennsylvania Secretary of Health and the CDC, those have been really important voices. And so going green today is one of the big signals that we've taken that says, hey, it's all right to slowly begin to take steps to open up some more. But there's another influential voice, and this kind of comes along with a prayer request, and so I bring this to you. Amos Stoltzfus is the pastor at Rockville Mennonite Church in Honeybrook, and many of you know that Rockville is one of our sister churches in AMEC, and they had their first gathering together back on May 24th. They met outdoors. And then they've been meeting in their sanctuary for their Sunday morning worship services since the very end of May, and they've been doing so through the month of June, just like we have. One difference is, and Amos shared this with me this week, one difference is that they decided not to do social distancing, and they decided not to do face masks, and that's fine. Every church has their own set of situations and circumstances. But in the last few weeks here, they've actually had a rash of COVID cases in their church, including a few that have been very serious and very difficult. And so they have decided as elders and as a church that they are not going to be doing any Sunday school or fellowship activities or communion for the rest of the summer. And their VBS, which they had been planning to do, is actually in the midst of being decided what they're going to do with that. And so you can imagine that's a difficult spot for them to be in. Now, as a church, they're managing some health ministry that they didn't have to do before. And these stories affect us, and that's actually one of the first really local stories that's been kind of on my radar. But it's just a reminder to me that this whole thing isn't going away. We'd like it to. I wish it would, but I think we're going to be, in our society here in our communities, we're going to be dealing with COVID stuff and with related issues for a long time. And so, church, keep praying. We can work here inside the church to do what we can do, but we still live in a world that is really upside down with a lot of health concerns. Some of them legitimate, some of them not legitimate. But please keep praying. Keep praying for our church and for our community as we try to sort this all out together, as we try to show love to the world, as we try to be a light in a dark world. But boy, we can all see that it's a pretty dark world right now. So again, thanks for hanging in, and hope to see you tomorrow night here at worship at Waterway. Thanks, guys.